47 Meters Down is an independent film directed by Johanna Roberts and stars Mandy Moore, Claire Holt, and Matthew Modine. Now, a little backstory. Now, this film I've actually been kind of curious about because I saw the trailer of it a couple of months ago, and from the look of it, it looked like your typical shark movie where people are having to survive in the water, and it's basically akin to something I was expecting to be like open water or like Jaws, where you're out in the sea and you're basically having to survive from these sharks, and the film builds a lot of that tension up. And what got me curious was that this film was actually started out as a direct-to-video film by Dimension Films, but then after they lost the rights and sold it to this now studio called Entertainment Studios, the Entertainment Studios decided to go ahead and release it to theaters. And from what I've been hearing so far, like, this is kind of an example of what happens when you take a direct-to-video film and then put it into theaters and trying to cash in on the success of various horror franchises like we had last year with The Shallows, which from last year, when I watched that film, I actually consider it one of the best shark movies that we've seen in a long time. And based on what I saw from this film, it actually kind of got me curious because I actually do want to see more shark movies that are trying to bring back that feel like Jaws, where you're building a lot of suspense, you're building a lot of intense moments, and you're not seeing too much of the shark, but you're still keeping the thrills along with the atmosphere. You're still along with the ride with trying to, suspend your disbelief and see how these sharks work in these films. And over the years, we've had a lot of shark movies that just faded away after so long. I mean, honestly, the last great shark movies that I personally enjoyed was Deep Blue Sea and The Shallows from last year. So it's very rare that you get a very serious shark film that's trying to go back to that approach like Jaws did. So with this one, we have Mandy Moore and playing a girl named Lisa, and her sister is name is Kate, and she's played by Claire Holt. And these two sisters are in Mexico, and they get a chance to go with these two guys that they meet at the bar, and then who invite them on a trip to go underneath the water under the shark tank. And they go on this fishing boat that's led by Matthew Modine, who played Joker from Full Metal Jacket. And the film builds up to them, like you see in the trailer, with them having to survive after their shark tank breaks underneath the water 47 meters down, and they're having to survive from sharks. Now, I've went into this film with very open-minded, like I heard very mixed reactions for it, but I gotta be honest, like I was so disinterested in this film after watching it. I was actually very bored after seeing it, to be honest. Okay, to get my cons of the way, I know that, and for people, keep in mind, for people who like this film, I respect your opinion and all, but keep in mind this is just my own opinion, and I'm just breaking down of how I feel about it. First of all, the acting in this film ranges from subpar to really annoying. I actually like Mandy Moore as an actress. I think she's decent, but here I feel like her performance was annoying at times, and I felt like she was kind of miscast in this role because she comes across as very very bland, and her character is really nothing. And in fact, her and her sister really had nothing to their characters that got me invested throughout this entire film. And the film also spends a whole lot of time with them building up, kind of with Mandy Moore's character kind of conflicting herself back and forth, because, not going to spoil a thing, but there's a situation that involves with her and her boyfriend, and it goes back and forth whether or not she's wanting to still be with him, or if she's wanting to continue her life, and they don't go into detail about that at all, which I thought was kind of stupid. Was really just very conflicting throughout the film, because one moment she'll be not wanting to do anything, but then she's thinking about the guy. So it's like, make up your mind. And not just that, but another big problem I have with the most is that this film spends so much time with the pacing that it really almost got me bored. When we actually see the sharks actually take action, it does your typical film like we did. If you remember that film Shark Night from 2011, that film had the majority of all the shark attacks being off screen. And that's what a lot of majority of this film takes place with. you see most of the attacks like cut so fast that you can't even pay attention to what's happened through it. It kept pissing me off every time I kept seeing the shark attacks. And while the sharks themselves looked fine, like the CGI wasn't like looked too bad, I just felt like they were just there just to be, you know, just to move the plot along. They didn't really do much. I mean, then that really drew me insane, because I kept expecting to see, you know, some traditional shark attacks in this film, and like you see in other movies. And there are some points where the film does get a little bit bloody, but not to the extent like you would think, because if anything, this is like watching basically the equivalent of Alien vs. Predator on how quick the death scenes are, and a lot of them are cut so fast you hardly even blink. Not just that, but I had a really hard time trying to adjust with some of the lighting in the film, because while the cinematography does look good in some shots, and they do have some interesting areas, I did find it very kind of hard to focus in some scenes because it's very quick, or it's kind of hard to focus in and out with because the way that it takes place underwater. Another thing too I found is that, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a twist ending this film that I won't reveal that kind of actually made me go, what the fuck? This film really drags so much to the point that you can pretty much call every scene that begins with the shark attacks, because a lot of the times when you see the sharks come in, you already can tell when it's going to happen. And that really threw me off, because I was just waiting for the movie to end because it kept boring me. And if I have any pros that I would have for 47 meters down, I would say that the cinematography looks good in some parts, where you see shots of the ocean and you see like this shot of Mandy Moore going through the ocean, and it has like this really beautiful open water. I thought that scene was pretty cool, the way it was shot. There was only a couple of parts that actually got me kind of thrilled, and it's when the sharks come out of nowhere and you don't see it coming. And there's actually one shot that I actually like, where it kind of becomes like a point of view, where you see Mandy Moore going through the ocean, and you see like a shark come out of nowhere, which I thought was kind of cool. And another thing I did appreciate too was that this film does make some practical effects that are good. It was cool seeing them go into detail with some of the attacks they do when you actually see it happen. So that for the little practical effects they use, it's good. But that's really my littlest pros. Is this worse than Shark Night? No. It's slightly more watchable, but that's not saying much. If anything, I'd rather just go watch The Shallows again, or watch Jaws, you know, because this feels like there's a good reason movies like this that are direct to video to begin with should go direct to video and not be released in the theaters. So no, I don't recommend this at all. And so far, this movie was pretty boring and very just really lost interest in me throughout the entire film. And with that, I'm going to give the movie 2.5 out of 10. It's terrible, but I mean, comparing it to, say, Phoenix Forgotten, it's got some things I can probably watch a little more than Phoenix Forgotten, but that ain't saying much. But anyway, what did you guys think of 47 Meters Down? Comment below, and if you like what you see here, you can check out more of my reviews here, and I'll be seeing you in my next one. I'll see you later.